Hi, come on in. You're just in time for Peace TV.
CMU found guilty in a time of war.
He's 5'2".
CMU found guilty in a time of war.
He fights with
CMU found guilty in a time of war.
He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And he's fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on...
What's the occasion here today?
Well, we've gathered here to pray for peace in the Gulf region, peace in individual hearts, peace in the world, a true peace. The peace that only Christ can bring, which is a self-sacrificing peace. It means you have to give up something to get something. It means that you have to be peaceful inside. What's going on in the Gulf, unfortunately, is a reflection of all the confusion and the pain that we have inside of us, each one of us individually and as a nation. And it's reflected in our young people that we've sent over there to do this business in our behalf. I was speaking yesterday at the university, and I wondered what a psychiatrist might think of these two men that are leading us to the brink, namely Saddam Hussein and George Bush. If you didn't know that they were the leaders of Iraq and the United States, respectfully, what you might think is going on inside these people. They don't seem very happy. They seem very confused, very angry. And there's not a whole lot of humanity being expressed by either one of them. So we have to wonder, are they really in a position of true leadership? What is a leader? Someone with courage, someone with truths, someone with humanity. And there's very little of that being expressed at the top of the heap. And so our prayers go with Mr. Cuellar from the United Nations, who is evidently making this final pitch for peace in the region. And they go with all of the people on the front line, both Arab and non-Arab. We have much work to do, my friends, because it looks like we have chosen the birthday of one of the great apostles of peace, namely Martin Luther King Jr., to initiate one of the great horrors of the world.
How do we accomplish that work?
Sorry?
How do we accomplish that work?
I think we have to take responsibility for what's going on. I think we are all in this together. Our fingerprints are on all of the documents and all the weapons. Every citizen that pays taxes has contributed to the war machine, and now we're stuck with what we're going to get. So we have to reverse that process. We have to erase our names. We have to make sacrifices. We have to call into question our rights as human beings and the rights of other people to live peacefully. And I think we all have that right. We as Americans are guaranteed it by the Constitution.
Both the House and the Senate are debating various resolutions right now. What would you hope that they would do, and what do you expect that they would do?
For God's sake, don't give him free rein. He's a dangerous man.
Who are you talking about?
Mr. Bush. Don't give him free rein. He needs to be loved and encouraged. He needs to spend, if necessary, the next 2 years remaining in his administration to work for peace. If any one of us went to the wall in Washington, closed our eyes, and pointed at any name, what would we give as a nation, as individuals, as a community, to bring that person back among us? Now we have the obligation, the responsibility to do that before the first shot is fired in the Persian Gulf. There are 400,000 Americans there. There are millions of Arab people that are going to die in this conflict, and it will not be resolved in one day or 1 month or 3 months. There'll be an occupying force. How far are we going to go with it? All the way to Baghdad? What do we do at the end? There is no end in sight. It will only stir up further aggression in the area and future wars.
Mr. Sheen, it is being said now by proponents of President Bush's proposal that a vote to commit troops to combat is in effect a vote to keep peace in the region, that it will not put the troops into combat, that will force the Saddam Hussein to back down. What's your response?
Frankly, I don't trust Mr. Bush. I think he's a very angry, confused man. And I think the worst thing to call him is a wimp or an inactive president. I think we have to love this man enough to bring out the very best part of him, his humanity. If his sons and daughters were on the line, he might have some grave second thoughts about committing them to combat.
You lit a candle over there in the cathedral, I believe. What did you light it for? Do you mind sharing that with us?
For peace. For the courage to admit my fear and my anxiety about what's going on, for the courage to accept my humanity, and for peace.
Was there one experience in your life that brought you to this day, that made you a peace activist?
Well, it's been a long, hard, and sometimes lonely road. My association with the Barragans has engaged me from the beginning, yes.
It's a homeless person.
Yeah. Hi, how you doing, kid? What do you got?
Vietnam veteran. Hey, I'm a homeless Vietnam veteran.
What's your wire?
This is my dog here. And this is my wife, man.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
All right, kid. How you doing? All right.
Man, it's good.
You were at it a little early on this cold day, are you? Good meeting you. What's your name?
Ray Nance, man.
Ray. All right. Good
I
to see
stay
you.
on the streets. I'm a homeless Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
You
Got a
know,
lot of brothers out there as well. Yeah.
I went to 124th, man. This is my wife here.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Hi. How are you? Good to meet you. Yeah. And what's the
Hey,
dog's name?
This one. I call him Killer.
Killer. All right, kid. Where'd you get him?
Huh?
Where'd you get him?
Oh, a girl gave him to me.
All right. Has
I'll
he had
take
his
her.
breakfast yet?
Yeah, not
You
yet.
had yours?
No.
We're going over to the kitchen in a little while.
Yep.
You're welcome to join us.
Really? Yep.
Yeah, there'll be something for your little
Hey,
friend Killer
I
here.
pulled my teeth out in Vietnam, man.
Oh, my. All right.
They were all pulled out in Vietnam. It's good to meet you, man.
Good meeting you.
You know?
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
What kind of vibes do you get on the steps here?
Well, I feel I'm part of something. I don't feel like there's anything really initiated here. Vincent stood here and witnessed here and was arrested here and was assaulted here and prayed here and stayed here very often alone and drew attention to what's going on here. And so this is really kind of hallowed ground. And it can't be said that somebody didn't stand for the very best part of us when all this was coming down.
Explain both what brings you to Pittsburgh. Was it a speaking appearance, or was it to visit these different sites as part of different political activities?
Frankly, I came here for myself. I came here to be nourished by this man and what he does and the way he does it. We met through Mitch Snyder some time ago. I've been aware of Vince's activity, and particularly this extraordinary action that he engaged in alone in Amarillo, Texas, at Pantex, which is the place where the nuclear bombs are all assembled. We complete about 5 or 6 a day, and he went there, scaled the fence, knelt down and prayed, and as a result of that one action, did a year in the federal penitentiary. That was a very, very powerful action, and it rippled through all the peace and justice communities around the country, and it affected me very deeply, because frankly, I considered doing such an action. I don't have the courage. So hopefully if I hang out long enough with guys like this, I'll get some more courage. And then not be able to add my name to the people that are doing something worthwhile. I'm somewhat of a gadfly. I make the rounds of all the peace and justice communities from coast to coast. I know a lot of the people there. I'm nourished and inspired by them. But I don't really belong to a particular place. And so I'm free to do this sort of thing, to come here and go there and bring a little attention. Sometimes it's good because you guys are interested in what I do or what my kids do, and it's helpful to draw attention where it needs to be paid in these areas, and not just in show business.
You're visiting the Jubilee Kitchen later.
Yeah,
who are you going to be seeing there? What is your purpose in visiting there?
Well, the Jubilee was founded by Vincent Eirene, and I want to experience this place and get the blessing of that hospitality and meet those people. They're mostly homeless people who are nourished there, fed there daily, and so I'm invited to see what all they're serving this morning, and I'm hungry.
You were talking earlier that you had prepared a message for Sheriff Coon you're going to be delivering downtown. What is that about?
Yeah, it's an open letter of appeal to the sheriff that in the interest of justice and compassion, he should drop these assault charges against Vincent. And I will read that letter there and present it to him.
You mentioned something about hallowed ground here. Were you referring to this or that?
This is the hallowed ground. You know, Reverend King said, the church is the place to go forth from. It doesn't always happen in the church. We're nourished in the church, but it's what we do outside with that nourishment in the community. It's how we bring Christ's presence into the streets and homes of our brothers and sisters and create community that we are blessed. So today we have chosen the church as the place to go forth from. We are nourished and we are grateful to be able to worship together before any action, before any day. And the last command we were given was to go in peace. So we come here in peace.
Do you think your message will get through to the sheriff?
I would hope so. I don't know him personally. I am a fellow law enforcement official myself. I am, as if the record be known, am a sworn law enforcement official in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. I took the oath of office there in July of 1982. I have a badge and an ID. So I'm going to see a fellow law enforcement officer. Of course, I'm far more on the civilian side, but I hope that he will receive me. I'm anxious to meet him and to talk to him, to make acquaintance on behalf of Vincent. And hopefully I can be a peacemaker in this situation.
What about the other message? I'm sorry.
A little background on this place. We're standing on the steps of Carnegie Mellon Software Engineering Institute. This was founded, interestingly enough, on December 28th, 1984, which on the Catholic calendar is the feast day of the slaughter of the innocent, when Herod killed the Jewish children trying to kill Christ. That's when they received this contract for this building. It's a $27 billion building built by the Department of Defense, run by Carnegie Mellon University. Over 11 different nuclear weapons systems are worked on here.
And he's fighting for the Russians and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And he's fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how would Hitler have condemned him at Laval? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon of the war. And without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from here and there, and you and me. And brothers, can't you see? This is not the way we put the end to war.
Okay, I think we're ready, okay?
I've been given the honor to read this reading. I pray you be patient with me. I'm not a good reader. But these are good words. The year of Jubilee. Quote, you are to count 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7 years. That is to say, a period of 7 weeks of years, 49 years. And on the 10th day of the 7th month, you shall sound the trumpet. On the Day of Atonement, you shall sound the trumpet throughout the land. You will declare this 50th year sacred and proclaim the liberation of all the inhabitants of the land. This is to be a jubilee for you. Each of you will return to his ancestral home, each to his own clan. This 50th year is to be a jubilee year for you. You will not sow, you will not harvest and ungather corn. You will not gather from the untrimmed vine. The jubilee is to be a holy thing to you. You will eat what comes from the fields. In this year of jubilee, each of you is to return to his ancestral home. If you buy or sell with your neighbor, let no one wrong his brother. If you buy from your neighbor, this must take into account the number of years since the jubilee. According to the number of productive years, he will fix the price. The greater the number of years, the higher shall be the price demanded. The less the number of years, the greater the reduction. For what he is selling you is a certain number of harvests. Let none of you wrong his neighbor, but fear your God. I am Yahweh, your God. You must put my laws and customs into practice. You must keep them, practice them, and so you shall be secure in your possession of the land. The land will give its fruit. You will eat your fill and live in security. And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Now we're going to take it outside.
You have to follow me.
Stood right in front of the mug shots.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate this. Should I make contact with the sheriff before I read this? Or? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. My name is Martin Sheen. I am here to present an open letter of appeal to Sheriff Eugene Kuhn, which I am pleased to read to you now before I make an attempt to meet Mr. Kuhn and present the letter in person. Dear Sheriff Kuhn, in the interest of justice and compassion, I respectfully urge the dismissal of assault charges against my friend and colleague, Vincent Eirene, who awaits trial on January 30th. With all due respect, sir, the very thought of Vincent Eirene engaged in an assault on anyone for any reason is an absurd contradiction. In a lifelong struggle for peace and justice through nonviolent activism and voluntary poverty, Mr. Eirene has earned the love and respect of millions of his fellow Americans, including myself, who are inspired and nourished by his courageous example. Though his life has been chiefly ruled by the command of Isaiah, in that he feeds the hungry, clothes the naked, and shelters the homeless, there are other equally powerful influences as well, including Philip Berrigan, Daniel Berrigan, our beloved brother Mitch Snyder, and Mahatma Gandhi. That his trial date should fall on the 43rd anniversary of Gandhi's assassination is prophetic. As the founder of the Catholic Worker in Pittsburgh, Mr. Eirene, like Gandhi, is one of those extraordinary souls who place human life, human rights, and human dignity above all else, even at the risk of his own life. And as was said of Mahatma Gandhi, it can be said of Vincent Eirene that future generations will scarcely believe that such a one dwelled in such a place at such a time and lived such a life. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, with faith, hope, love, Martin Sheen. I want to thank all of you for coming. Vincent Eirene is a very very important member of the peace and justice community in the United States. And in these dark times, we certainly need his presence, his spirit, and we must stand with him in this hour of great need. And so I'm grateful for you sharing this with me now to draw attention to this injustice, and hopefully we'll be able to reach Sheriff Coon and reach the very best part of his humanity to dismiss these charges as absurd, and we can get on with the business of peacemaking and loving one another as we are commanded to do by the gospel. So if you don't have any comment, you can escort me in to meet your friend. Just for the record, I am a peace officer in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't have my badge with me, but I am a special deputy in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. I took the oath of office in the summer of 1982. So I'm going to see a fellow peace officer.
We'll answer questions after we deliver the letter.
Hello. Hi, how you doing? I am here to meet Sheriff Eugene Coon and to present a letter on behalf of my friend.
Talk to him on the phone.
Yes, we spoke to him on the phone, and we understood that there was a good opportunity we might get a chance to meet him. Hi, what's your name?
Lieutenant DeFasia.
Hi, glad to meet you. Happy New Year. How you doing? Hi, how are you, sir?
Hi, welcome to Pittsburgh.
Happy New Year. This is Vincent
I know, Vincent. How are you?
Oh, right. Good of you to come see it. Is there a chance we might see himself?
The sheriff's not in right now, but Chief McNamara's in if you'd like to see him.
Sure.
In private, please.
In private?
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. Listen.
Okay, thank you. You want to come with me?
Sure.
Wait, thanks.
And Vincent can accompany me.
In private, please.
Sure,
first.
yeah.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
And Joe Cosgrove, the angel of the law. Are we coming here? All right, Vincent, yes, you're welcome to come.
No, could you come in private, please? We're going to go right in the chief's office.
Just me?
Yes, for now.
Right. Just me, well.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, sir. You could go right. Would you wait here with me, please, for a second? Go ahead, Mr. Sheen. You could go right.
I think you're probably safe in there.
Just first. Hello.
Although I don't know if I go in there.
Oh, how you doing?
Thank you.
Excuse me. Can you tell me the policy about cameras upstairs in the hallways? Who's the person? I just wanted to get a clarification of your policy on cameras upstairs. What about in the hallways?
Well, to my knowledge, as long as it's not interrupting court.
Well, I was threatened by the sheriffs with arrest for taking their picture. Does that sound strange to you, or do they do that all the time?
Not normally. They just don't allow any cameras in the court.
I see. Well, I wasn't in the court. I was taking their pictures in the hallways, and they were threatening me with arrest. And I didn't take kindly to that, because I was getting all kinds of double answers. Some people said I wasn't, depending on who I asked. Some people said I wasn't allowed to take pictures. Other people said, no, and the judge told me I was allowed to take pictures. But, yeah, is Richard Stewart around? He's the guy that threatened me.
No, he's not. He's not up there anymore.
Oh, he's not up there anymore? Well, that's an improvement. I really didn't feel that he was acting in a very professional way.
I think you got to see Judge Dyer as the president judge at a criminal court.
Right. But well, he's the one that gave me permission to shoot in the halls.
Oh, then you can shoot in the halls then.
Yeah, but I didn't want to get my arm broken by one of your sheriffs.
No, I'm sure they ain't going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Scarlett.
Walk outside.
How do you feel being in here, Vince?
I feel great. It's a great day.
Happy New Year.
It's always a great day when we confront power, those in power, especially to forgive our enemy. We always have to forgive them because
this above all,
under order to do so. And the fingerprints
watch
again.
Your back.
Watch your wire. Watch your wire. Martin?
Over in front of the mugshots again. Yeah. They're liable to see our face.
Martin Sheen. Okay, now we're going to field questions, so you just have to do it one at a time and make yourself clear.
What happened in there with Chief McNamara?
I was very cordially received by Chief McNamara. He apologized that Sheriff Kuhn was not here and told me that the sheriff was not aware that we were coming. And that's unfortunate because I thought that he was aware. He received me, as I say, extremely cordially. He accepted the letter and he gave me his word that he would place it in Sheriff Kuhn's hand. And that's about the best I could hope for.
Do you feel the sheriff was trying to duck this meeting?
No, I mean, I can't say that. I don't know the sheriff, and I'm not from this community, so I don't have anything to base that on. I can only take him at his word. Something very interesting was discussed there when I explained the contents of the letter to the chief. He said, well, you know, the sheriff really isn't in a position to drop charges. It's up to the lad that brought the charges, the individual officer. And I said, well, gee, I hadn't thought of that. We should appeal to him as well. He said, well, individual officers that make charges on citizens have the prerogative to drop those charges, but they stand to win or lose on their own. And in light of that, this man or any officer is liable to lawsuit if he drops a certain charge and the defendant or the accused were to turn and sue him. I assured him on behalf of Vincent that no such lawsuit would begin if he were to drop the charges. If the sheriff could get the officer to drop the charges.
I'll put that in writing too.
Yeah.
I mean, as Christians, we don't sue, and we have to learn what it is to turn the other cheek and to love our enemies. And Richard Stewart assaulted me. I was informed that I'm not allowed to sue until I'm found innocent. I am innocent, but I will not sue Lieutenant Stewart or the County Sheriff's Department. I want to go on with my life of offering hospitality to the homeless and getting arrested on the steps of SEI at Carnegie Mellon. And I can't get arrested if I'm out on bail of $500, which my friends gracefully provided. So I would not sue Richard Stewart. In fact, 1 Corinthians 6, I'm sure you're all looking that up now, talks about that we do not sue. You know, that is, the courts are a shadow of SEI, of the military. You know, we stand as Christians defenseless before our enemies in hopes to convert them, and I stand here defenseless today.
This is a very important turn of events, and I'm very happy to be a part of this peacemaking effort. And on behalf of myself and my wife, I want to thank you, the media in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You've been terrific, and I felt very welcome here and treated exceptional. Of course, I have not seen or read your reports, but I'll be out of town when they appear, so feel free to say and
These are all
show whatever you like.
These are all dummy cameras to make us feel good.
So if you'll excuse us now, I'm on my way overseas. And let's continue to work and pray for peace.
Overseas to where?
I'm on my way to Rome to finish filming a miniseries that I began 10 weeks ago in Paris and completed 2 weeks of in Dallas, Texas, just 2 days ago.
Vince, do you think is there a frame-up conspiracy? Is there a conspiracy to frame you?
No, I don't think there is. The only conspiracy right now is coming out of our emir's office, and that's to kill tens of thousands of our young and hundreds of thousands of Arab people. So the conspiracy is an interesting term from scriptural times, from the early church. Conspiracy means to breathe together. God inspires us, breathes in us, we conspire together. We should conspire together to disarm Carnegie Mellon and to end this awful war and to take into our hearts and homes the homeless.
It's a really scary day when it takes a protest to unite us in something that's a principle we were all taught to live with, love one another. And it's something that went away that we need to get back. We need to be humans again. We need to practice the principles we were taught to believe in, love one another and all peace to everyone.
What over there?
No, everybody's over there that's loved. It's just amazing. It's scary. But all this is supposed to be a world where everybody loves one another. And we all have these God parents that are supposed to be good and loving, but people aren't good and loving. We forgot about that along the way. You know, we forgot about it. And I don't want my children to grow up in a world of hatred. When there's so many people that are out there that's loving, we can't have a voice. They won't let us speak.
Well, yes, you know, if I was still mayor, I would declare him innocent and free as of this day. In fact, as former honorary mayor of Malibu, I hereby declare you innocent of these assault charges. Look, you are a free man. All right.
All you have to do is move to Malibu.
Yeah.
Fine.
He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And he's fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall.
CMU found guilty in a time of war.
Who knows right from wrong. He's got a serious